we talk about countries, their economy, and their financial institutions. This week, we're going to be talking about Sweden. Before we talk about the economy of Sweden, let's see a little bit of history. Sweden was a multi-power in the 17th century, but have now participated in both of the world wars. They remain neutral. But since then, Sweden has pursued a successful economic formula, consisting of a capitalist system intermixed with substantial welfare elements. Sweden joined the EU in 1995, but they publicly rejected the introduction of euro in 2003.
Sweden's small, open, and competitive economy has been thriving, and Sweden has achieved an enviable standard of living with its combination of free market, capitalism, and extensive welfare benefits. Sweden remains outside the Eurozone largely out of the concern that joining the European economy and the monetary union would diminish the country's sovereignty over its welfare system. Timber, hydropower, and iron ore are the resource base for a manufacturing economy, which heavily relies on foreign trade. Exports, including engines and other machines, motor vehicles, and telecommunication equipment, accounts about 44% of GDP of Sweden. The GDP of Sweden grew on an estimated 3.3% the past couple of years. As the COVID era hits, the GDP of Sweden also started decreasing, and it's expected to go back up again once the vaccine has been approved. The currency of Sweden has been appreciating since the beginning of 2018, but as the COVID era hits, the currency has been depreciating, and it's expected to bounce back once the COVID problem is solved.
The Swedish economy is gradually recovering from the COVID-19 crisis. Overall, the GDP of Sweden is expected to expand 3.3% in 2021 and 22. In short term, Sweden's economic challenges include providing affordable housing, high unemployment rate, and less household consumptions. And finally, successfully integrating migrants with the labor market. For more on the political environment in the country, work culture and atmosphere, and recent changes in the exchange value, David will join me from Stockholm, Sweden.
Hello, I am reporting in from Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. I'm in the waiting room of the IBX Group, which is a consulting company here. And I've talked to some representatives about the work culture here in Sweden. Some things that I've found that are different than the United States is that they have a 5-week vacation minimum across the entire country. Typically, Swedes like to take those types of vacations during the summer, since, here it's very cold during the winter. And then comparatively to the United States, on average, they work are about 40 hours, and maximum is 48 hours. But overtime seen here is seen as like a waste of time, or seen that you aren't planning very well your time at work. Also, a big difference is in Sweden, when you have a kid, you have up to 16 months of paid leave. And then they have also subsidized daycare facilities and extra tax credits for those who are new parents. So there's a lot of things that can help young adults with their work-life balance. The politics of Sweden kind of support that. It's a social democratic run parliament. Ever since the Great Depression, they have had a good stronghold on the parliament. People wanting a safer, more safer safety net for those that may fall into poverty. With that comes some policy differences than the United States, such as universal health care, which personally helps, or which helps many people with making sure they don't have to worry about health bills. And if they've got diabetes, they don't have to buy or pay for insulin, so that helps a lot. And then they also have a lot of Social Security stuff, A lot of these the United States does have, such as Social Security for people that are retired, Social Security for people that can't afford housing, Social Security for people that are unable to work, unable to find work. We have the same thing. We just call it unemployment. One thing that's different, though, is they have monetary support for parents that have children up to 16 if they can't support that child monetarily. And, you know, with these policies, gives parents and families a lot more security knowing that they won't fall to a point where they can't come back. On top of that, the Swedish krona is not a very strong currency compared to other currencies such as the US dollar or the euro. And in the past decade, the highest it was trading at is in 2011 when it was trading at 1 krona for 1.165 US dollars. Currently, it is trading at 1 krona for 0.12 US dollars. And at its lowest point, it was at 0.95 in mid-March when the coronavirus was at its peak. It was trading pretty well for the most part in the early part of the decade until 2014 when the Swedish central bank had to have a negative interest rate due to the Swedish inflation rate going negative as well. So ever since then, it hasn't really recovered all too well. It was started to recover a little bit in the past year, but that's all the information I have for you. Back to you.
For more on major exports and imports and major industries inside the exchange, Michael will be joining me from Sweden.
All right, my name's Michael, and I'm here to report on Sweden. Sweden is ranked number 32 in exports globally. Automobiles, which go to US, Germany, and China, account for about $11.9 billion of their exports. Refined petroleum, which goes to the Netherlands, UK, and Finland, accounts for $10 billion. And packaged medicaments, which is just like medications, which go to China, the US, and Japan, account for $7 billion. These three things are Sweden's leading exports. Sweden is also ranked 31 in imports globally. Automobiles, which come from Germany, Belgium, and the UK, account for $9 billion of Sweden's imports. Crude petroleum, which comes from Norway, Nigeria, and Russia, account for also $9 billion. And refined petroleum, which comes from Finland, the Netherlands, and Denmark, account for $7 billion. And these are Sweden's leading imports. Sweden's effective regulation in the banking sector and open market policies that promote free trade in the economy have allowed the country to thrive economically. They currently have over 600 EU-mandated non-tariff measures at work and have 8 country-specific non-tariff barriers as well. Sweden's policy toward green energy is also a major factor leading to their economic success, and legislation has allowed them to become one of the world's frontrunners in renewable energy. They were also the first country to initiate a carbon tax in 1995, which made them rely on carbon-intensive fuel sources less and less. The industrial sector in Sweden is responsible for 22.6% of Sweden's GDP and employs nearly 18% of the workforce. Businesses like Volvo, H&M, Saab, IKEA, and AstraZeneca are leaders in this industry. The tertiary sector is responsible for 65.2% of Sweden's GDP, and it employs around 80% of the workforce. This industry is largely driven by telecommunications and IT equipment.
This is what we had for you guys about Sweden today. Thanks for watching.